My daughter-in-law looked at her friends in my living room and said those words loud enough for me to hear from the kitchen. "That old woman is only good for paying our bills, and my son Kevin, the boy I raised, the man I financed for 10 years, started laughing. I was standing there with a coffee pot in my hand, and I understood in that moment with a clarity that cut through me like cold water that I had spent $86,000 over 5 years on people who saw me as furniture. Not their mother, not a person, a bank account with legs. That night at 3 in the morning, I sat down at my computer, and I canceled every card, closed every account, removed every automatic transfer, and by 6 in the morning, when I poured my first coffee of the day, I felt something I had not felt in 10 years. Peace. What happened the next morning when Kevin called me from the most expensive restaurant in town, unable to pay a $200 bill, is the story I need to tell you. You know that feeling when you look back at a long stretch of your life and see the pattern you refused to name while you were living inside it. That is where I was the morning after I heard those words, sitting in my favorite armchair at 68 years old, counting what I had given and realizing what had been taken. My name is Elinor. I was widowed 10 years ago, and from the moment my husband died, my son, Kevin, and his wife, Jessica, moved into my finances the way water moves into a crack. Slowly at first, then completely. When Kevin lost his job, I paid his rent for 8 months, $800 a month from my retirement fund, while he did not lift a finger to find real work. When Jessica decided she needed a new wardrobe to look professional, it was $3,000 on my credit card. When they wanted to go to Cancun because they deserved it, after so much stress, another $5,000 disappeared from my savings. I was never invited on those vacations. Of course I was good for paying, not for accompanying. "It is a romantic trip, Mom," Kevin would tell me whenever I hinted that I would like to see the beach. You understand, right? And I, like the fool I was for 10 years, always understood. I always paid. I always stayed quiet while they lived the life I financed. 3 months before the living room incident, Jessica told me in that syrupy voice she used when she wanted something expensive that she needed a new car. "If we are going to have children soon," she said, "we need something safer. $15,000 for the down payment." $15,000 that represented 2 years of my savings. But I paid it as always, because it was for the good of the family. That phrase, "for the good of the family," it is the most expensive sentence in the English language when the family has decided that the good they mean is their own. The night after I heard those words, I could not sleep, not because of sadness, because of a clarity that burned inside me. I got up at 3 in the morning, turned on my computer, and began making decisions I should have made years ago. First, I canceled all the authorized user cards they had in my name. Every single one of the 5 cards they used as if they were their own. Then I closed the joint savings account where I deposited money every month for emergencies that were never real emergencies, but expensive restaurant bills and designer clothes. I also changed all the passwords to my bank accounts and removed their names from every automatic transfer. By 6 in the morning, when I was finished, I poured myself a cup of coffee and sat in my favorite armchair. For the first time in years, I felt at peace. I knew that soon my phone would ring, and on the other end would be my son. Desperate, humiliated, demanding an explanation, and I would be ready to give him one. The phone rang at exactly 9:15 in the morning. I was sitting in my kitchen, enjoying my second coffee, when I saw Kevin's name on the screen. I did not answer immediately. I let it ring 3 more times while I savored this moment of clarity I had not felt in a decade. When I finally answered, his voice was almost hysterical. "Mom, why are all the cards being declined? I am at the Hawthorne Grill with Jessica's mother. We wanted to have lunch to celebrate her birthday, but none of the cards work. It is humiliating. People are staring at us. The waiter is getting impatient. and I do not have enough cash to cover a $200 check. The irony was exquisite. They had chosen the Hawthorne Grill, the most expensive restaurant in town, to impress Jessica's mother, the same place I was never invited to despite having paid for their family dinners there for years. Now they were surrounded by the people they so desperately wanted to impress, and they could not pay for a single plate. "Good morning, Kevin," I replied with a calm that surprised even me. "The cards are canceled because I have decided I am no longer going to finance your lifestyle." "What? Are you crazy? We are in public. Jessica's mother is here. How am I supposed to explain that my own mother left me high and dry?" "What is ridiculous, Kevin, was hearing you laugh yesterday when your wife said I was only good for paying her bills. What is ridiculous is realizing that for 10 years I have been treated like an ATM instead of your mother." There was a long silence on the other end. I could hear voices in the background, Jessica and her mother wondering what was happening, the waiter waiting for payment, other diners starting to notice. "Mom, please do not do this now. We can talk later, but I need you to reactivate the cards." "Just for today, I promise." "No," I interrupted him. "There are no more promises, Kevin. No more just for today. For 10 years I have heard the same promises. You do not respect me. You do not value me. And you definitely do not love me the way I loved you." "That is not true. Of course we love you. Jessica was just joking. You know how she is. I know exactly how she is, Kevin. And I know exactly how you are. That is why I made this decision." I could hear him breathing heavily. I imagined the situation at the restaurant getting more tense with every passing minute. "Mom, please." Jessica is crying. Her mother is asking what kind of family we are. The waiter has asked 3 times if everything is all right. "Please have mercy, mercy." Another word that made me tremble. Where was their mercy when I stayed up at night, calculating how to pay their expenses on top of my own? Where was their compassion when I deprived myself of things I wanted, so I could give them everything they asked for? "Mercy is earned over years, Kevin, and you too lost it yesterday." I hung up the phone. My hands were shaking slightly. Not from fear or sadness. They were shaking with adrenaline, with a sense of power I had not experienced in decades. For the first time in years, I had put my own needs first. For the first time in years, I had said no. For the next 30 minutes, the phone did not stop ringing. First Kevin, then Jessica, then a number I did not recognize. Every call I rejected gave me more strength, more conviction that I was doing the right thing. I poured myself another coffee and sat on my back patio, enjoying the silence I had missed so much.